Hello, it's Andrew again, Big Y Fly Company. We are super stoked because it is winter steelhead season. It is our favorite time to fish around here. We love summer fishing, trout fishing, bass fishing, all of that, but the reason I moved here was for winter steelhead fishing. It's the only time of year where I may catch a fish that's so big I can't land it. So winter steelheading beyond that is also really frustrating. It's really intimidating. People have a really hard time getting into it because, well, it's really difficult. These are fish that are really upset. They don't want to be here. They don't want to eat your fly. They don't want to be caught. And when you do catch them, they are incredibly upset. There are very few of them, and they're really hard to find. All that being said, you know, it's you hook one, and it just makes your day. What we're here to talk about today, though, is choosing a steelhead fly. If you are new to steelheading, and you want to get into some winter steelheading, and you want to swing a fly, probably the hardest thing is figuring out what fly you want to use. So the first thing I'm going to look at when I get to the river are the conditions of the river. Is it high and muddy, low and clear, somewhere in between? Is it going up? Is it going down? Is it cold? Is it getting warmer? Those are all things to kind of consider. Really, my ideal conditions are the river has gone up a bunch and it is on its way back down. It rained a bunch. It's getting cold. The water's clearing up and it's dropping. It's perfect conditions because what that does is it pushes the fish out to the outside where they want to be. They put them in holding water, that classic steelhead water we're looking for. That's when they're going to be there. When the water's low and clear, that's when a lot of guys want to fish. But I'll tell you, it's not when the fish want to be there. Those fish in low and clear conditions are usually out in the middle. They are in fast water, hiding behind boulders, hiding in places where it's really hard to get to them. So if I'm showing up at the river and the river's a little high and it's dropping, it's a little off color, I get really excited about that. So in choosing a steelhead fly, there are a lot of theories. There's a guy who says over and over again, I don't care what steelhead color you choose as long as that color is black. I've also heard bright day, bright fly, dark day, dark fly. Those are all good rules of thumb. For the most part, we're gonna talk about colors here. You got bright colors, you got dark colors. Purple is a magic color because it's both bright and dark. So when people tell you to pick a bright fly or a dark fly, you could pick a purple fly and that works great. So I choose a bright fly usually when the water's on the clearer side, because if it's clear, they can see those brighter colors a little bit better. When the water's off color and it's dark, it's a lot easier for them to see a dark fly. I'm not a fish. I'm just like seeing what I can see. It's easier for me to see a black fly in low visibility than it is to see a pink fly. So the water's off color, I tend to choose a dark black fly. If it's really clear, I do like a nice big bright pink fly, but I've also done well with natural colors, white, olive even, or black. My favorite overall is probably a black and blue or a black and purple. It's Foxy Dog from Solitude. Probably one of the go-to flies out there anywhere. Another one is the intruder, the Howell signature intruder from Solitude in the pink and purple with a little bit of blue on it. Awesome fly. So weather can have an effect on how the fishing is. Fish do tend to get more active when the water temperature is actually going up a little bit. So if it is getting colder and the water temperature is dropping, it's going to be a little bit harder to find fish. But if the water temp's coming up a little bit, say it's warming up during the day, the water temperature goes up a little bit, those fish tend to be a little bit more active. Now we're looking for those fish that are in close to shore. So like I said earlier, the water's up a little bit, those fish are going to be in close to shore. I can use an unweighted fly at this point, or one that's lightly weighted. Something like, I believe this is a showgirl or popsicle, something with marabou with a lot of movement. It's going to slide into that 10 to 12 feet offshore. That I catch a lot of fish there when the water's up. I like marabou flies when water is when you're fishing slower water. The marabou tends to move a lot. This has got a lot of movement in it. In fast water, this marabou all kind of shrinks down and doesn't move as much. So if I'm fishing some really fast water, I'm going to choose something that's a synthetic, like a craft fur fly, or something like this is a big rabbit fur. Rabbit will still move when it gets wet, but it doesn't squish down as much. So another thing to think about is when and where the pressure is happening. So when I show up to the river in the morning, and say the conditions are a little on the clear side, I'm floating the river, I am going to float over a lot of different water. Early in the morning when the rivers are clear, I see these fish sitting way in tail outs, like right above the riffle going into the next pool or into the next run. And we see them sitting out there in these flats in just a foot or 2 feet of water. And if I'm the first boat down, I see those fish. If I'm the second boat down, I don't see those fish because the first boat went over them, they all spooked, they all went into deep water or fast water or somewhere where they're not going to be sitting out where it's easy to find. So if there's a lot of pressure, you're going to have to work a little bit harder to find these fish in spots that aren't so easy to find. And one last thing is, about pressure, is if you're fishing and your buddy's in front of you and he's fishing a big pink fly, you might want to choose a fly that's a different color. If he's fishing something that's got a lot of weight on it, maybe you want to use a little less weight. What you got to do is just try to find what somebody else is doing and do the opposite of it. And that works all the time. I mean, we sit down every time we go to a run, like, what are you going to fish? Are you going to fish purple? Well, I guess I'm going to fish pink today. And maybe you see he's fishing a bunny leech, maybe I'm going to put him on a marabou fly. And you're going to keep changing it up. If you are in a run you know has fish in, or at least like fairly certain that there's fish in there, you've been catching them in there, somebody's been catching them in there, they've been in there lately, conditions are good. You know, there's always that rule, don't leave fish to find fish. So just change your flies up until you find something that works. I hope that helps you figure out a strategy for finding fly to choose for winter steelheading. In the end, really, it's what looks good to you, but I hope that my little insights will give you a strategy. Thanks again. Stop by the shop and see us anytime.